Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news as we talk about transfers but also the sale of Manchester United with Qatar expected to put yet another bid in. We'll also be talking about a very interesting article from The Telegraph saying that Erik ten Hag is targeting, shockingly, a left winger. What does that mean? We'll also be talking about where we are in the transfer window at the moment. Erik ten Hag wants quick deals, and the two most advanced deals at the moment look like they're Mason Mount and Rasmus HOJLUND. We'll talk about that. I'm sure a lot of people want to talk about whether we'll be buying a goalkeeper. You might want to get your questions in. And about, like I say, good article from The Telegraph. Also want to bring in a few things that I've been told. We've got Fabrizio on the show tomorrow as well. Let me get comfortable. So if you've got questions, get them in. But we're going to assess United's transfer window tonight, where we're at, what we know, what's coming, and I suppose try and predict as well, based on the fact that we've been doing this for more years than most, how a summer transfer window works for Manchester United. So we'll be going through that as well, because traditionally, I will admit that the first couple of weeks of June for Man United, in fact, you could almost say June for Manchester United is a bit of a write-off, go on holiday. But I think that we're probably not heading into that area. I think that there is, and Mason Mount was at the Formula One today in Spain, and he was asked by them about his future, a little bit of a wry smile. So yeah, lots to get into. And I suppose the first place we're going to start off with, there's a lot to get into tonight, but I just want to bring in a few, and we'll be doing this more over the summer now, just showing you just showing you actual headlines and where they're coming in from as well. But this was the one that sort of caught everybody's eye, so I just want to put it up on the screen here. This is from James Ducker and Bert, I forget what his first name is, not Ernie, from The Telegraph. So Manchester United want to make another midfield signing, not just Mason Mount. They also want to sign a left winger. There aren't any plans at the moment to make a significant investment in the goalkeeping department. So that's probably going to surprise a few people. I will talk about the sale. We've got plenty of time. Don't worry about that. And yeah, I think that's quite interesting. It's coming in from James Ducker, who's, I know he was the one who said personal terms had been agreed with Mason Mount. I don't think that makes... as I said, I think the relevancy of personal terms for Mason Mount are just quite technical. Mason Mount's camp is saying that personal terms have not been agreed because there's not been a fee agreed with Chelsea. They have to say that, and that is true. Personal terms also won't be a problem. So you're not wrong or right. Technically, personal terms haven't been done, but I'm sure they won't be a problem because this is where he wants to be. Is it weird I use Manscaped while I'm wet? Says Miles. Okay, Miles, thank you for that. We will move on. We're trying to have a serious show. Rasmus HOJLUND will be playing today. Go and watch him, says John. Yes, it's the last weekend of Serie A, I think. It's gone a little bit late, hasn't it? But we have... let's digest this below. So... First thing, Man United wants a midfielder as well as Mason Mount. I think that's a good thing. Where are we at the moment in relation to transfers? I'll come to that in a moment, but we know we want Mason Mount. We do want another midfielder. We are in the race for Declan Rice. We're not in the race for Caicedo. We're not in the race for Ugarte. I don't know why. At this moment in time, we are not in those races. We are in a race for Rice, and we are in a race for Rabiot. Maybe we just want a midfielder beginning with an R. But we're not in for Ugarte, we're not in for Caicedo. It's Rice and Rabiot that look like the two that we're going for. And obviously there's a lot of competition for Rice. I mean, it's a very big difference as well. Declan Rice is going to cost you upwards of £80 million. Rabiot is going to cost you nothing, but his wages are ridiculous. I spoke to somebody this afternoon about this, and they were saying that Rabiot, the problem is wages. Wages will be ridiculous. They were ridiculous last summer. The person I spoke to says, I'm quite surprised Man United have gone back in because they want, John Murtough flew to Turin last summer to get him and came back with nothing because the wage demands from his mum, who's his agent, not John Murtaugh's mum, Rabiot's mum, who's his agent, were ridiculous. And yet United have gone back in again. And his wages are only going to be more because there's no transfer fee for Juventus. So the other midfielder looks like it'll be Rice or Rabiot. Mount's obviously there. But this left winger thing, what's that all about? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the fact... Well, Harry says, do you think the fact that we're looking for a left winger suggests that Ten Hag sees Rashford as a number 9? I think this is exactly it, Harry. I think I tweeted it earlier. The left winger thing is really, really weird. I mean, Robin says, why not go for João Felix, which is a player that Erik ten Hag likes. But yeah, I've had a theory about this for a while. I think that Rashford sees himself as a striker, and more importantly, I think Ten Hag does. Well, let's run a poll on this. I want to be interactive over the summer anyway. But is Rashford a future number 9? Let's just go with that. God, come on, mate. Is Rashford a future number 9? Get it? Yes or no? I've got to be honest here. I'm a big fan of Marcus Rashford, but Neymar could come in as well. Someone just mentioned there. I think that's dependent on Qatar, which we'll talk about in a moment. From what I've seen of Marcus Rashford this season, he's not a number 9. He is absolutely fantastic off the left. I like him with the ball at his feet, running at the back. I like Rashford to pick the ball up 30 metres out from goal and run forward. You don't do that. As a striker, you don't do that. You play with your back to goal. Any striker will tell you most of the time you're playing with your back to goal. It's a bit of a thankless task. You've got to get in the box. You've got to move around. I don't think Rashford at the moment looks like a number 9 to me, but he might become a number 9. I hope to get some transfers done so I can see them in Vegas, says Oki. And Fluffy, thanks for being a member for 11 months. And Aaron as well, thanks for being a member for 2 months. So, yeah, I don't see Marcus Rashford as a number 9, but maybe if we are looking for a left winger, maybe that's the transition, because if you do buy a Harry Kane or a Ramos or whoever, and you're not going to buy a second striker, and you move Rashford to the second striker, and then you've got another left winger. I just think it's quite interesting. I think it's quite interesting that we potentially are looking at a left winger. I would say I don't believe we are, but maybe we are. I mean, it's they're saying that we are. I don't think we are, because we've got Garnacho, you've got Sancho, you've got Anthony, you've got Ahmad, you've got Rashford. That's 5 wingers really. I can't see Sancho going. Damiola says Rashford does not have. Sorry, Damiola, I completely missed that. It's flown by, Damiola. That flew by. I didn't know what he was saying there. Rashi tries to do too much to be a striker, says Miles. I just think Rashford's strengths are not as a striker. I don't think. I think he was injured yesterday. I think that's why he wasn't jumping for headers. But he's not very good in the air. He's not very good at holding the ball up, and his assets are a winger at the moment. But he could become a striker, and maybe that's what Ten Hag's thinking about. SD says, I think the bigger issue would be the time we will take to buy these players because of all the confusion created by the Glazers. It will spike the price and also drive some players to other clubs, says SD. So yeah, look, I think that's quite interesting about the striker. And of course, Man United have no plans to significantly invest in the goalkeeping department at the moment. Farley, thanks for the super chat. I know people won't like that. I don't know what's going to happen. We might buy a striker. We might buy a goalkeeper. But logically, I just think it looks to me like it's a low priority for Ten Hag at the moment. I think if he had nothing else to do, if he had the first team that he wanted, I think he'd buy a goalkeeper. But I think he is prioritising other positions. Any plans for a Birmingham tour show? Not at the moment, Paul. And could this mean Eric Ten Hag sees Sancho more as a right winger for next season, says Arjun? Well, Anthony's his right winger. Anthony is his right winger. So I don't know what he sees Jadon Sancho as at the moment. But I guess we'll see. Just onto the striker, which we know is a priority. Man United will push Spurs to sell Harry Kane this summer. However, they don't believe it's a likely outcome. I think I said this a few days ago. It's very logical. There's a few people saying it as well. Welcome to the Members Club, Simon. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. In relation to Harry Kane, Manchester United really like him. Eric Ten Hag really likes him. Man United have liked him for a long time. I think Harry Kane would come to Manchester United. The problem is it's mission impossible. Even Tom Cruise isn't going to sort this deal out. It's Spurs. I mean, there was even an article today saying that Daniel Levy wants £200 million for him. I mean, I don't know. That's just a waste of electricity, even writing that article. £200 million. Is he having a bloody laugh? He's got 1 year left on his deal and he's not worth 200 million anyway. So, I mean, that's just the sort of stupidity that comes out from the Spurs hierarchy when they hear that a Premier League club might want to buy him. All we can do is, and what we will do is we'll put, and we might have already done it, we'll just say £80 million, take it or leave it. They'll say leave it and we'll leave it. And I think that's what will happen. And also, you might have seen my video on That's Football today. Real Madrid are being linked to him now, which is the most logical way out for Spurs to make money and Kane to leave. The winger talk has Neymar on loan written all over it and therefore Qatar in, says Delicate Official. Well, apparently Neymar plays a lot more as a number 10 now. Tin says, I saw Avram Glazer in London last night. Spoke to him about the sale. Please check DM. I sent you a video, says Tariq. Oh, I haven't seen that, Tin. And maybe this new winger thing means that is the end of Sancho. Yesterday for me was the last chance. He looks lazy and sleepy on the field. Time to go, says Flavio. And you know, Mark, I would make Rashford a number 9, but he needs the support to do that job, says Slow Sports News. And did you see HOJLUND following you? Agent Bridge says, Min, where's he following me? You're winding me up. Interesting. This is just going to be the biggest troll on the internet. Ah, he does. He does. He follows me on Instagram. Well. Right. I'm sliding into some DMs, two-footed. Don't worry about that. Anyway, let's come back to the show. Ten Hag will have team full of his signings by the end of the summer. This is only way for United to be successful, get new players, says HKN. Harrison, welcome to the members club. So, look, the striker, funnily enough, this is going to sound really dodgy now, but seriously, that's not where it's come from. Man United are quite advanced with Rasmus HOJLUND. You might have picked that up over the last few days anyway, but United are quite advanced with Rasmus HOJLUND. This deal at the moment, and let me just move this on. I think I've got this here. Yeah, this is also from the Telegraph. Manchester United will make an offer of 50 million to Chelsea for Mason Mount this month. So where Man United are at the moment, and I suppose this is what it probably says on the title of the show, Erik Ten Hag wants Manchester United to get quick deals. So what I want to talk about here, and I will talk about the sale in a moment, but the normal, I've been doing this for years, many of you have been watching for years, and even if you haven't, I'm sure you study Manchester United summer transfer windows. I can tell you what days over the last 10 years, I can tell you that the most likely days and times we will announce players officially. Normally, we've done a lot of deals in the first 2 weeks of July. We don't tend to do that many in the last 2 weeks of July, and we do deals in August. We don't do many deals in June. Erik Ten Hag is an analyst as well. He is an obsessive, and he wants... Obviously, the downside of that is that a lot of the time, and many of you from around the world will have visited Manchester United tours, you don't tend to get many new players on the tour. You know, here's a funny thing for you. Cristiano Ronaldo never went on a United tour in his time coming back. He was signed after the tour when he first signed, and he didn't go on that tour. So United never saw Ronaldo on a tour the second time. So we are traditionally late transfers. Erik Ten Hag wants the deals to be done quick, and that's the pressure Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh have. At the moment, the two most advanced deals are Mason Mount and Rasmus HOJLUND. They are the two most advanced deals for Manchester United. So if we're going to get quick deals done, those two will be the two that get done, unless there's a real shock. And I can never account for that, and nobody can ever account for that. Sometimes there's a deal like Van der Beek that just happens in a couple of days, but not very often. So we don't normally sign players in June, but there's no international tournament this June, and Erik Ten Hag wants to get these deals done quickly. We know that Mason Mount's quite advanced. We know that it's about doing a deal with Chelsea, and we know that Chelsea want to get their own deals done. So this deal is in everybody's interest to move quickly. Chelsea are not in a position where they are going to drag this out. It's not in their interest to do it. They either want to sell Mason Mount or they don't. And if they're going to sell Mason Mount, they'll do it quickly. And Mason Mount's not part of the England setup, and he will want it done quickly. And obviously Ten Hag wants it done quickly because he wants him on the tour. So Mason Mount, very high chance at this moment in time that he will be done quick and he will be on the tour. Rasmus HOJLUND, obviously, could take a little bit longer. I believe he is part of the Danish setup for the internationals. Obviously, Agent Eriksson could have something to do with that. But we are quite advanced on that deal because the situation with this, and we'll get more out of Romano tomorrow when he's on, because obviously he's Italian-based, and what he doesn't know about Serie A is not worth knowing. But the information we've got in relation to Rasmus HOJLUND is that obviously there's things like Ten Hag's agency signing him up. That's not always a definite. It helps it. We didn't get Gakpo though. But what's more important on this is that Rasmus Højlund would love to sign for Manchester United. And also, it's Atalanta. And with all due respect, they are not a big Italian team. This is not Inter Milan. Go on. This is not AC Milan. This is not Juventus. This is not a big Italian club. So whilst Rasmus Højlund staying for another year would be beneficial to them, they're also aware that the money... They're basically an old-fashioned Premier League club. You used to be able to knock on the door of Villa or Brighton and take their players, but now, because the Premier League's been run so well, those clubs are so wealthy themselves that they can say, piss off, we want £80 million. It's different in Italy. So for Atalanta, if you knock on the door and say there's 50 million, with add-ons, they will do it. Rashford needs to become a number 9 because Garnacho is too good long term, and that's a great point, Denise. That is a great point. And Rashford will go missing for another 2 years after he signs that contract. Weak mentality player, says Julian. I disagree with the Rashford thing. I think that look, you should always hold players to account. There's no doubt about that. You should always hold players to account. Also, Fred spoke about his future. Do remind me to talk about that. But I think Marcus Rashford's had a very, very good season. And it was this time last year when I was saying I think he should probably go. I can't sit here this time a year later and criticise the lad. I think he's had a really good season. It's very hard to maintain consistency as well. I think because he's had I don't think he's been fit. I don't think he's been fit the last month. He's not played well the last month. I don't think he's been fit the last month. And I'm almost guarantee he was playing with an injury yesterday. But look, nobody's guaranteed a place. Look at the treatment David De Gea's getting. Look at the treatment Bruno has sometimes. Varane's had it. You've got no Manchester United. Pep Guardiola, he won't guarantee that Kevin De Bruyne is going to play for the next 3 years. You've got to be good enough, and Rashford just needs to build on it. That's all he needs to do. I'm going to the gig on Tuesday. We're having questions to ask. Yes, says Philip. I think so. Yeah, just check your emails. I think so. That reminds me, actually, links in the live chat. If you want to come to the show on Tuesday night, there are still a few tickets left. It's a big venue. It's going to be a great night, and I found it. We've got some giveaways to do. We're going to do some interactive stuff. I found it. Only one of these was ever printed. Somebody in the crowd's going to get that. We've got a few things to give away, but somebody in the crowd's going to get that. I am going to give it away because it's a piece of nostalgia from last summer, and we will not be going back in for Frankie de Jong. So we'll be giving that away. Get your tickets. Links in the video description. Apparently, it's going to be Scorchio in Dublin on Tuesday. So I'm proper looking forward to it. And it's always a great city to visit. We'll see you there. Links in the video description and the live chat. HKN says, Chelsea getting Casido, Liverpool getting McAllister, Arsenal getting Rice, while United get Mount. This is why we need a director of football. We can't be bringing in the worst midfielder out of all the other teams. I get Ten Hag wanting him, but we can do better. He did not pick players at Ajax. Sal Rashford is no good, says Jimmy. I disagree about Mason Mount. Mason Mount is not the midfielder that you should be comparing to McAllister or Casido or Declan Rice. We're going to bring Mason Mount in, and we're going to bring another midfielder in. So you'd be more, HKN, you'd be more relevant if you said Arsenal get Rice, Liverpool get McAllister, and probably Thuram. Chelsea get Ugarte and Casido. We're going for Rabiot. That's the relevant point. I wouldn't bring Mason Mount into this because Jurgen Klopp wants Mason Mount and McAllister. Arteta wants Mount and Rice. So I think that the relevant point is about whether you go for Rabiot over those. So 77% of you would say that Rashford is not a future number 9. 23% of you say yes. I've got no issues with Mason Mount. I think this is a player that Erik Ten Hag wants, and I'll back him on this. But yeah, just to map what I was saying there, how I think the summer transfer window is going to play out, and maybe some of you'd like to make your comments as well. I think that we will get 2 players in before the end of June, which will be unusual for us. I think we'll have 2 players in before the end of June, and have a funny feeling we might get another 1 or 2 in early July, because I think we will be... I can't remember. Does anyone know the date we're going on tour to America? I think it's like the 15th of July. I think that's when we go. Whenever we're playing in Edinburgh, it's the day after that. So I think it's the 18th of July. So I don't think Ten Hag will be too bothered about whether the players are all signed by the 10th of July, but I think he'll want them all done by the 15th of July. So I think we'll get a couple in June and a couple in early July. And then there might be one or two that happen later in the window. Hi, Mark. How would you rate this summer? Mount, Rabiot, Mawani, HOJLUND and Kim Min-jae. You know what, Aga? I mean, so Mount, Rabiot as the midfielders, Mawani and HOJLUND as the strikers, and Kim Min-jae. You've still got to bring a goalkeeper in. I can't have Dean Henderson staying. So I would give that, if you bring in the Anderlecht goalkeeper, that's better. That's good. I think it could be better, but that's good. It's probably very realistic as well, you know. Please check your DM. I sent you a video of my chat with Avram yesterday. Big news, mate. United stand need to know. Tarek, says Tin. What DM is this? You know, if you've given it me on Instagram, I'll never find it. I don't think you realise how many DMs I get. Hi, Mark. Isn't HOJLUND just another Bentner? In my opinion, it would be better to get Jimenez or Roque as developmental and Latoro as the main, says Mario G. I like HOJLUND. I don't think he's another Bentner. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think Ten Hag really, really likes him. I think we'll get, at the moment, I think we will get HOJLUND. I think we are going to get him. I'd be very excited about it as well. As I say, only my prediction, I think we'll get 2 players in before the end of June. We'll get another 2 players in by the middle of July. That'll be 4, and then there might be another 1 or 2 that come in. But I'm expecting busy times over the next month. I think it's going to be much busier than we're used to. Every other year we've done this, it's slow. Last year was ridiculously slow. I think it's going to be quick, and I think that's the plan. Let us know if you think something different. The Mount purchase may push Bruno back to an 8, which wouldn't be a bad thing, says Fraz. Thank you very much for that, Fraz. And I think it will be HOJLUND and Mount who are the first 2. Kim Min-jae, remember, can't happen until July anyway, and neither can Rabiot. So it might be that we get Rabiot and Kim Min-jae in early July and HOJLUND and Mount before the end of June. When, do we even get another striker? We'll have to wait and see. Little lesson, Mark. Don't make more shirts with our targets. Oh, I've learnt that, Salmon. I've definitely learnt that. And Tom says, what worries me is that the Glazers never support new managers in their second season. Also, if Sir Jim Radcliffe does get in, how does he afford new infrastructure? And Rashi, Garnacho, left wing, HOJLUND and Osman striker, Jaden and Anthony right wing, says Way to Stun. So let me just, I'm going to have to be a little bit of a big head here, because the best tweet I could find about it was probably mine. United Stand didn't do one. So it came in from the Independent, to be fair. I think it was the Independent, not the Telegraph. They basically said that Qatar could be putting in another bid. So I tweeted and I said, look, and no surprises, Qatar could make another bid. The Financial Times news on Friday was clearly to smoke out another bid. And I think that many of us predicted that might be the case. So to answer the question that Tom said, the Glazers don't normally back the man. Look, that's a good picture of me, isn't it? That is a good picture. That was on tour. That's a bloody good picture, that is. Tom said the Glazers don't normally back the manager in the second season. Technically, you're probably right. On average, they probably don't back them as well as they do in the first summer. But what we do know is that there are 2 people with billions of pounds trying to buy Manchester United. One of them's trying to buy all of the club. One of them's trying to buy half of the club. When Sir Jim gets hold of the club, he'll be in charge. The Glazers won't be in charge anymore. So the message going to the Glazers is, if you want us to spend significant money on bailing you out, and whether that's keeping them with Sir Jim or getting rid of them altogether with Al Thani, you can't mess this summer transfer window up. Because what that would be like is, I'm going to give you £1 million for your lovely mansion house that's got a hot tub in the garden. And we're negotiating. I found out you've been in the hot tub and had a big shit in it. I'm not giving you £1 million for a hot tub with a shit in it. I've also heard that you've broken a few windows and you're not replacing them. And you've been pissing on the carpets. I'm not giving you £1 million for that. Get new carpets, get a new hot tub and fix the windows, and I'll give you £1 million. But I'm not giving you that money if you're going to degrade and soil this asset. So that's the best way of explaining it, because the Glazers cannot sit there this summer and go, we're not spending any money because we don't do it normally in the second year and the club's up for sale. The Glazers, and I will never use the word to their credit, but the Glazers understand that there's a lot of money coming into this club, and it's not their job to sit there and not buy players this summer, because they'll damage the brand of Manchester United over future years. If anything, this will make the Glazers spend, because if they're going to stay with Sir Jim, the simple way to look at this is United will spend £200 million this summer no matter what. This is not a normal summer. I actually think United will be more efficient in this summer because we're for sale. And I know that's not what I was thinking a few weeks ago, but the more you hear, and the more you hear about transfers, it's very clear that we're going to be quick and we're going to spend significant funds. People will say, well, why would the Glazers do that? Well, one, if they're selling to Al Thani, they want to get more money. And he's only going to put more money in if the club's being run well. And two, if they're going to stay with Sir Jim, they don't own the club anymore. They're basically shareholders who want their value to increase. Their value is going to decrease if they preside over a crap summer transfer window and Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea go past United and we're back in the Europa League next year. The value drops and they're shareholders and it's dropped. So it's in their interest to get players in and United to keep getting better because their share will go up. So we will be spending money, and that's the most logical way to look at it. So if we look at the sale and what's going to happen with the sale at the moment, there was a Financial Times article on Friday night, wasn't there? And we spoke about it on Saturday morning, talking about how it looks like Sir Jim's the preferred bidder and that's what they're going to do. But they haven't announced he's the preferred bidder yet. And some people were like, well, Abraham Glazer's he's in England again. He's in London. Last time he was in England and London, another bid came in from Qatar. We know that technically Sir Jim's bid is bigger than Qatar because he's only buying half of it. So he's sort of technically valuing the club more because he's only buying half of it. So this could well be the next step, that Qatar put another bid in. And it may well be that they end up paying $6 billion and that's what the Glazers get. I don't know. I don't know. Tom and Randy, first time watching. Bloody hell, we still get first timers. Thanks for watching. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. It's going to be a busy summer. Make sure you support the channel and subscribe. So look, maybe there'll be another bid going in for Qatar. But what I would say, and I think you're all going to agree with me on this one, the most relevant update in relation to the sale at the moment is it doesn't look like anything's imminent. I think many of us hoped that something might have happened today, tomorrow, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or in the next week, but it doesn't look like anything is going to happen. My prediction, and this is just a pure prediction, I might be completely wrong, my hunch was that we were going to sign Harry Kane, and I said it back in September. It doesn't look like we will at the moment, but it's just a hunch. My hunch on the sale at the moment is what will happen is, and it's amazing, I think we will buy players while the sale process goes on. I think we will buy Mason Mount. I think we will buy Rasmus HOJLUND. And I think by the end of June, we might still be in a process where the sale isn't sorted. And then I think we'll go into July and we'll buy Kim Min-jae, Rabiot, another goalkeeper. And it might be that this sale just continues to go on like it has done for the last few months, for the next few months. But I still think we'll buy players because I think it's very frustrating, but I don't think it'll have an impact on who we're signing. And as Matthew says, it's all just a big game of poker, and it could just go on for ages. Casido has to be bought by Man United, as we've seen how we've struggled when Casemiro was suspended. Casido can be a number 8 as well as a CD, says Rajath. I don't know why United have not gone back in for Casido. We were very advanced on Casido when Ollie was here. And he was playing in, was it Ecuador? You know, we nearly did that deal in the January and then we backed off. So we know this player's good. But we're not in for him. We're not, well, unless there's something very covert going in, we're not in for Casido. So it's a little bit like Sangare last summer, isn't it? Loads of people were going, get Sangare. And I said, look, if anybody knows to get Sangare, it's Erik Ten Hag. Ajax and PSV were going head-to-head for the title. Sangare's a player for PSV. Ten Hag will know more about Sangare than any of us. And he didn't do it. So maybe he just doesn't fancy Casido. I don't know, but we're not in for him. Would you bring the 90% club for any signing, says Lil. Look, the 90% club, it can come back if you want it to. Do you want the 90% club to come back? I'll do a poll. Because I'll tell you why. Should the 90... I can give you a 90% club right now if you want it. I'll give you one. Yes or no? Should we bring it back? Because I'll tell you what. Jadon Sancho, 90% club. didn't sign that summer. Frankie de Jong, 90% club, even got a prototype T-shirt. Didn't sign last summer. However, third time lucky. Maybe this time we get third time lucky. Remember, I'm giving this away in Dublin if you come in. I've got a great quiz for someone to get it as well. So if you come into Dublin, you could get hold of that. If you want to come to Dublin, get some tickets. Links in the live chat. So, when was the last time you had a nosebleed, says Unleashed? I had one in the shower about 6 months ago. Don't know what that's got to do with it. So, it's a redemption arc for 90% club. Right, 90% club's definitely coming back because it's 76%. So, this is either going to be a jinx and the 90% club will be buried and we'll never bring it back. This is like the Macho Man, Randy Savage, against the Ultimate Warrior back in probably the early 90s or something like that. They had a fight and basically whoever lost had to retire. So, or Ric Flair against Shawn Michaels. So if the 90% club gets this wrong, I'm retiring it forever. It got Sancho wrong the first year. It got Frankie de Jong wrong last year. So 90% club, here we go. Who am I going to throw into the 90% club? Well, I'd like to put Rasmus HOJLUND in there, but I'm not willing to burn that. I'm not willing to jinx it. So I'm going to throw Mason Mount into the 90% club. I think from what I've heard privately, what we're seeing publicly, and there's not a lot of difference, to be fair, I think Mason Mount wants to come to Manchester United, and I think Chelsea need to raise funds. I think Pochettino would like to keep him, but I think the damage is done with Chelsea, and I think he wants a fresh start, and I think Erik ten Hag has wooed him. What did they say? Seduced him? I don't like that. I just see Erik ten Hag in a dress. I don't like that, but that was somebody else's words last week from an article. I think, yeah, 90%. So it all rests on Mason Mount, 90%. Garnacho should be our number 7. Says Kyle. You know what, Kyle? I think you might be onto something there. I do. I think Garnacho as our number 7 is not a bad idea. Did you hear what he put on Instagram yesterday? Hates losing. You could see it. I mean, that's a mentality king right there. You know, that's the mentality you want in a player. He's still very raw. He's still very young, but I can't stand the people who criticise Garnacho. Remember, was it just before Christmas? And there was people actually going in on him. And some of you were like, that's a bloody disgrace to do that. You don't do that with your young players who are like 18. You don't do that. I think he's a mentality king. I think he's got exactly the right attitude. And I loved what he put on Instagram because it's unusual. But that's what you want in a United shirt. You know, he was devastated. Only came on off the bench, played really, really well. And he was devastated that we'd lost. And not just, it was like actually, you could tell it was irritated. That's what you want. Martinez is the same. Anthony's the same. Casemiro's the same. You want more and more of those characters. Definitely. Please do 90% club for Mount. Hopefully we don't sign him, says HKN. I knew someone was going to do that. Fred still being seduced by Fulham. So, Simpson, you're good. Let's talk about Fred. I've got a little bit of a quote about Fred, so hopefully it'll come up. It might be a bit big. Yeah, we got it. So, Fred, on his future, direct quote, I don't know yet. I have to talk about it with my family. I still have a year left on my contract. Now it's the holidays and it's a good opportunity to rest. I'm going to talk to my staff, to the club, and see what everyone's decision is. So I don't believe it. Oh, no, I do believe it because it's a direct quote. This is where I'm going to refer to you. Do you know if Fred's been called up for the Brazilian squad? I don't know. Please sell Fred, says Daniel. Right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a poll here then. Should we let Fred go? I've got an interesting stance on this. I was absolutely essential that he played yesterday. Absolutely essential. But the reason I wanted to pick him is the reason we need to move him on. I just think Fred that he's not in the squad. If Fulham want Fred, could we try and do Palhinha, says the Beast. Well, I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. The reason I would get rid of Fred is that he's the prime example of what you should do if you want to compete with Man City. He's good, but you can get better. And that's it. Fred's not a crap player. Fred's not a player like some I'd get rid of. Like, Fred is a good player who can do a good job. He's inconsistent, but he can do a job. And he did a job yesterday. But in that explanation is the reason I would move him on. We've got to get rid of players that can do a job. We need to get players in that Man City would go, ooh, we wish we'd got hold of those. I think now's the time to move Fred on. If you look at his age, 1 year left on his contract, you've either got to give him a new contract for 3 years on good money, or you move him on. I think if he's 25, it might be different. But because of his age, the logical decision is to move him on. And this needs to happen as well. You can move players on that you like because you want something better. If you look at what Man City did last summer, Zinchenko, Jesus, Sterling, Arsenal, Chelsea. Good money, good players that had served Pep well. But he moved them on because he wanted to improve and evolve. This is what we need to start doing. It can't always be they're crap, sell them in the summer. We actually need to look at players that are decent and go, yeah, we can do better than that. And I think Fred would symbolise that. He is not on my list of get rid of him, he's no use. He's on the list of, I think he has a use, but I think we can move him on and get somebody better in, and I think now's the time to do it. If you think they will take the window seriously, when do you think they should secure the first signing, says Mehdi? Look, I'm not going to say we're going to get a deal done this week, but I think the speed with which United are working on things at the moment, I actually think you're going to see some deals done. Not just by Man United. I think Alexi McAllister to Liverpool will be done this week. I think that Chelsea will get a deal done really quickly because they'll want to start winning their fans back. I think by the end of the week, Declan Rice will start to escalate as well. United have got to be in that race, and United will want to convey an appearance of competence and ambition. And I think that they will get a deal done quickly. I'm not going to say that by Friday we'll have signed Mason Mount, because we won't have signed Mason Mount by Friday. But we might have done a deal by Friday. And then you follow it, the official deal can happen whenever. But I think you might find United get moving very, very quickly. I think they will. If you think they will take the win, I've done that one, says Mehdi. We need another combative midfielder for the away days. Would HOJLUND and Benzema be great business so HOJLUND can develop under Benzema, says Philip. We should replace McTominay with Ward-Prowse to bring him to the bench, says Dillick. But I think Ward-Prowse is McTominay with free kicks. I don't think there's a massive upgrade. I don't. And I think the reason Everton and other clubs are looking at Ward-Prowse is because he's not a top 6 player. Get rid of all the physically weak players, says Arthur. And exactly, Mark, we need to bring in players that will improve the team, not just put a shift in on occasion. Glazers out, says Jack. In relation to Benzema, it's a no from me. Philip Jones, thanks for joining the members club. Thank you to everyone who is a member. I can see the badges in there like Angie. You're a legend. Thanks for supporting the channel. And Stephen says, keeping Fred would be rewarding him for passive. Actually, I'm not going to make any promises, but I'm hoping that we're going to be able to film the tour show, the end of season tour show on Tuesday. If we film it and it goes well, we tried before. If it does go well, we're going to upload it to the members section for you. So thank you very much to the members. Keeping Fred would be rewarding him for past service. The club needs to move on, says Stephen. And what is your competent summer window? Ins and outs with numbers, says Rohit. If the sale keeps going on, Eric Ten Hag won't have clarity and he would expect some news soon. I will give you my realistic summer in a minute, Rohit, because I think that's a good point. Should we let Fred go? 60% say yes, 40% say no. Absolutely no issues with that. I do think it is one where you could go, yes or no. As I say, for me, I think it symbolises something if we do let him go, because he's not a bad player, but I think we can get better, and I think we've not had a bad season. Look, Fred reflects what we are. We've had a good season, and I think Fred's a good player. But if we want to have a better season, we need a better season, and I think Fred represents where we can upgrade. How do you improve on a good season to a very good season? I think you look at Fred and you go, we can upgrade there. That's how it works. Mark, any of us could clip up an hour of you begging Fred to go, says Josh. Yeah, but you can clip up anything over the last 7 years. You're sort of acting like people can't change their mind and adapt. And if I see the clip of me saying sell Marcus Rashford again, I'm thinking about putting copyright on it, because I'd be a bloody millionaire. I don't refute or deny things I've said in the past, but I've always said, football's the most dynamic thing in the world. It amazes me how people go back on things about football opinion and go, "Oh, you said this 3 weeks ago." I mean, there might have been 6 games in that time. The Matic effect is what I call it. 2 + 2 is Matic. It's the Matic effect. I thought Matic was finished at United, and suddenly he just came back for 6 months and he was great, and then he was finished again. It can happen. Mickey G, welcome to the Members Club. 4 months and 40 as well. We went from Frankie de Jong to Mount, which will cost about 70 million, but we're letting McAllister go for less than 65, says Levin. And hi Mark, thanks for an awesome show. Let's hope all goes well with transfer window and with the sale of the club, says Bill. Just to say about Benzema, I'm going to run a poll on this. Would you sign Benzema? These are the sort of things. We're going to be doing loads of polls over the summer. It always kicks off more in the summer. Would you sign Benzema? And while you're voting on that, I want to say it's a no from me. And I'm going to tell you why it's a no from me. It's a no for me with Benzema because I think we're 2 years away from fighting for the title, if everything goes well. Not going to happen next year. It would be the season after. So if you bring Benzema in and you're trying to build a team to win the title, Benzema won't even be part of the title race and you'll have to find somebody else. Also, we've done this with Zlatan, Ronaldo and Cavani. And they were all very exciting, but they all fizzled out for different reasons. Cavani, it was injury. Ronaldo, it was a fallout. And Zlatan, it was injury as well. It doesn't. I think we need to learn lessons. These players are fantastically exciting and they are world class. But it's not worked out. And somebody might say, well, eventually it will, let's keep doing it. But I would rather we bought HOJLUND and Muani because we've got a coach that is a developer of talent. Solskjaer bought Cavani and Ronaldo because he's not a coach. And Mourinho bought Zlatan because he's not a developer of talent. Those two coaches wanted to bring finished articles into their team and get on with it because they can't develop players. We've got a coach who can develop players. Buy some bloody developmental players. I think there's development in Mount. There is definitely development in HOJLUND. I think, Muani would be a developer. Ramos would be a developer. Even Vlahovic would be a developer. Osman would be a developer. So I think go and buy players that can develop. I don't want Benzema at Man United. If we got him, I'd be very excited because he's a fantastic player, but I don't think that's the route we should be going down. I need to come back to Rohit's competent summer. The issue with selling Fred is that it means we ideally need 3 centre midfielders, then maybe a year extension and replace him next season. Realistically, we signed 4 or 5, says Nick. Well, I don't necessarily think Scott McTominay's going. I don't necessarily think McTominay's going to go. I think he should go for his own career. I don't think he's anywhere near the first team. But I don't necessarily think McTominay's going to go. Cyber Spider says, I only sell Fred if Scott goes too. Scott has to go because get more for him and Fred is better. As for Benzema, we tried it with Cavani, Falcao and Zlatan. I forgot about Falcao as well, Cyber Spider. Benzema is going to be paid 175 million a year at his new club. How are we discussing him? Says Tony. He's not coming. He's not coming. I don't even know why it's been talked about. So Rohit asked me what my competent, realistic summer is, ins and outs. So let's say United are going to spend 200 million quid, which they will. Any news on Maguire leaving? Love the show, says Ants. Why, he didn't even get on the pitch yesterday, did he? I barely even saw Maguire yesterday. And HKN Music says, we need 2 strikers regardless. Benzema is a different type of striker to Cavani, Ronaldo and Zlatan. He won the Ballon d'Or just last season, says HKN. It'd be interesting to see where Benzema goes, but I think he might be going for a lot of money somewhere, like the Saudi League or something like that. Competent summer. So, I think we'll spend 200 million plus. Competent summer, starting from the back to front. Maybe with the Anderlecht goalkeeper. We need a goalkeeper. Kim Min-jae. That's got to be the priority. I don't necessarily believe Italian reports, but there's a lot of reports around United. Can't be done till July though, so we sort of got to park it a bit. Kim Min-jae. I mean, ideally a Casido or a Declan Rice, but it could end up being a Rabiot. Mason Mount. 2 strikers. That's my summer. 6 players. 2 strikers, 2 midfielders, centre-back, goalkeeper. That's it. Done. 2 strikers, ideally Kane or Osman and HOJLUND. If it's not that, Muani and HOJLUND, I'll be happy with that. Ramos maybe, but I think we'll get priced out. In relation to outgoings, Dean Henderson, starting at the back, has to go. Brandon Williams has to go. Harry Maguire has to go. That's probably raised straight away 70 million. McTominay has to go. That's another 30. That's 100 million. Fred, probably 115 million. Tellez and Bailly, probably another 15. That's 130 million. And that's it. 130 million's pretty good. 130 million's pretty good, because if you've got 130 million and you spend 250 million, your net spends 120 million. So, look, that's all. And you know what? That's not even pie in the sky. That's all doable. What I've just said there: 2 strikers, 2 midfielders, and a centre back and a goalkeeper, and then you sell all those players have said. It's easy to do. Well, it's not easy. It's doable. But you're asking a lot for this recruitment team that we know isn't normally very good. I'd love the Frankie t-shirt 2XL, says Philip. Are you coming to Dublin? You might have a chance. For me, it's okay that the sales drag on as long as we are active in the transfer market, says per Eric Klassen. A few people talking about Martial. Salman says, well done, Mark. Can't wait for tomorrow to hear that the talks have broken down with Mason Mount. Well, look, we're testing the 90% club. If it really is a jinxer, Mason Mount won't sign. Where are we at with Frankie de Jong? We need this guy to play Ten Hag ball, says Camille. I mean, look, it wouldn't surprise me if we ended up going back in for Frankie de Jong. In fact, I'd be surprised if there isn't somebody who does a story about it at some point. It's easy, isn't it? Ever thought about a United stand-up, says Armando. Yes, I have. And Alanga probably go as well. Alanga, Palestri, Mejbri. Yeah. Look, Mario, I'm not even... The players I mentioned to sell are low-hanging fruits, aren't they? Some people would say Martial, Alanga as well, Donny as well. So there are others. Martial we can't sell. I've been saying this for months. I think Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News and a few other people said Martial's for sale in the summer, and I was like, that's absolutely fine. You can put your car up for sale, and it might be a Ferrari, but if it's got smashed windows, dents in the side, and no wheels, no one's going to bloody buy it. And if they do buy it, they've got to do it as a fixer-upper. And to be honest, in the Premier League and in Europe now, not many people want to buy a broken down, smashed up Ferrari. They haven't got time to fix it up because results are all that matter. I don't think Martial will be going anywhere because, unfortunately, and it's not Ten Hag's fault, big contract, big wages, always injured. Who's going to buy him? Sheriff says, I just noticed Mike Maguire wasn't on the pitch yesterday. Oh my God, he didn't get a send-off. He is staying, says Sheriff. I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works. I think Rio Ferdinand didn't get a send-off. Did Evra get a sending off as well? I don't remember. I think we've had it a few times where we've just announced and let them know that they're going before they even... after they've played their last game. I'm pretty sure there's a story from either Ferdinand or Evra where they just played the last game of the season, come into the dressing room and Woodward said, we're letting you go. And they're like, I could have done a lap of honour or something. So I think that has happened before. Nash says, we need Rice or Casido. Wouldn't mind Mount, but I feel with Casemiro always suspended and getting old, someone who could do his job with Mount next to them, says Nash. Look, if I was playing FIFA, if I was playing Football Manager, or I was doing Eric Ten Hag's job, absolutely, I would have a Casemiro backup. The amount of games you play. And Ten Hag wants to win every game. Let's not forget, he's played every domestic game possible. Every domestic game possible he's played. 38 Premier League games and to the final in both of the domestic cups. He takes everything seriously. So you've got to have a backup Casemiro. You have to, not just because of suspension or injury, but also because of the volume of games. It's absolutely essential that we bring in... I'll be amazed. I'll be absolutely stunned if we don't bring somebody in that can do that. Would you sign Benzema? Poll. 32% of you yes, 62% of you say no. We've got a legend in this chat, and his name is Paul Woolley. He's gifted us 5 memberships. You are an absolute legend, mate. Thank you very much for that. And also, we've got HK Music. We've done that one, I think. Yep, we did. And Kemal did that as well. Frankie de Jong to Mount. We are catching City, says AK. I think with the de Jong thing, it's a little bit unfair because we can't sign Frankie de Jong. We've had a go, but we can't sign him. So I think it's a little bit unfair to sort of say Frankie de Jong to Mason Mount. And also, Mason Mount is the upgrade on Eriksen. Like, Eriksen will still be here next year. So that's just about, giving us options. Akshat says, would you sell Lindelof, sign a defender and keep Maguire? No. I'm glad you asked that. I desperately want to keep Victor Lindelof. You know what? I said yesterday that we should play Luke Shaw and Varane because they played so well together in the Nou Camp and also against Man City in January. Victor Lindelof 100% deserved to start that game, but I was a little bit concerned. He played really well. I thought Varane played really well. I don't think Varane and Lindelof got the credit they deserved. They did their job. They kept Haaland quiet. And I know Haaland nearly scored and it was a fantastic save by De Gea. But, he's always going to get a little bit of a sniff, isn't he? The reality is, I think Lindelof, over the last few weeks, has been remarkably good. And, I saw him coming down the steps from Wembley and there was that lad at the bottom that they were all giving a high five to. And he gave him a hug and had a chat with him. And I just thought, you know what? This guy actually is a good guy, Lindelof. And he's quite rightly had a lot of stick. He's had some real... I think, again, people don't like the fact that you can change your opinions in football. Lindelof deserved a lot of the criticism. He was lightweight. And look, probably playing with Maguire isn't easy. But since Lindelof's come in... I don't think Lindelof's put a foot wrong this season. He came into the team... a few times this season and did really, really well. And he's the third choice centre-back at the moment. Now, I would like him to stay. The problem with Lindelof is he might be ambitious and say, look, I want to play first-team football. You can't give it me. My concern with Lindelof has always been that he might be the guy that knocks on the door and says, if you're not going to give me first-team football, I'm going to go. He might be ambitious. Al was in. Thank you very much and welcome to Members Club. And Graham says, do you think, like Rafinha, would be on Ten Hag's radar? Radar, says Graham. And Zayn Miasi's gifted a membership. Thank you very much, Zayn. I don't think Rafinha would be on his list because Rafinha plays off the right, doesn't he, like Anthony? So I don't think that will happen. But no, I think Lindelof's had a really good season and I really do want him to stay. But as we've said for a few weeks now, what if he knocks on the door and says, look, with all due respect, I love it here, but I know when Martinez and Varane are fit, they're ahead of me. You might be buying Kim Min-jae, which puts him ahead of me. Where am I going to get any game time? I want game time. And he might knock on the door and say that. And that's worrying because Maguire might not knock on the door and he might go, I've got nothing to prove. I'm happy to stay here and sit on the bench. So it's about ambitions. I mean, people say whether... It's interesting, isn't it? People say, is Fred going to go? Is Lindelof going to go? Is Martial going to go? Is Maguire going to go? Is McTominay going to go? And ultimately, they should be knocking on the door anyway. It shouldn't be whether they're going to go. Why do we collect players that are happy to just stay and sit on the bench because they're on good money? That is part of the reason we lost yesterday. We've got too many coasters. We've got too many players that are just happy to coast. They don't want to put their foot in. They don't want to be on it all the time. They don't want to be ambitious and aggressive. That's the problem. We need to remove... We've been saying we need to remove the deadwood for a decade. And we still do need to remove the deadwood. If I was Ten Hag, I would be disappointed if my door wasn't being banged. That sounds wrong, but you know what I mean? That door should... In fact, he should be replacing his door for one of them revolving doors because as one player comes in, another one should be coming out. It's as simple as that. The reality is, McTominay should be banging on the door and saying, look, I'm not getting enough game time. Newcastle want me. Am I going to get first team football or am I putting a transfer request in? Let Ten Hag make the decision. Maguire, look, the only football I'm getting is with Southgate and he's getting fed up of it as well. Am I going to get first team football? Make a decision. These players should be knocking on the door. The reality is, what you hear is they don't knock on the door. They're waiting to be told by Ten Hag. What sort of ambition is that? What sort of players have we recruited? What sort of players are we giving contracts to? These players aren't ambitious. They're like, I'm earning big money here. I'm just going to stay. They can get rid of me. Don't go looking for a move. Let them get rid of me. We should have a queue of players waiting to knock on the door. I'm not so sure we will. I mean, even what Fred said there, he's having to think about it, isn't he? I don't know whether Fred should be knocking on the door. I think that's a little bit different. But there's a few people that are clearly a long way down the list that should be knocking on the door and saying, I want to go. Look, I don't necessarily agree with this, but as a hypothetical, shouldn't Jadon Sancho be knocking on the door and saying, look, I'm on 300 grand a week. I cost £75 million. I don't think am I part of your first team plans next year? because if I'm not, I want to go. But they won't do it. People they won't knock on the door. Always wondered if it's easy to make you laugh or not, says Amando. Yeah, it is actually, if you tell a good joke. Kemal, welcome to the Members Club. Mark, Qatar could buy Arsenal. That means Osman is ours, says Zane. And Al, thank you very much for becoming a member. You're a legend. Mark, any of his could clip. I've done that one from Josh as well. So, yeah, look, I think we're in for a really interesting summer. I think that there is a desire from Erik ten Hag to do quick deals. Absolutely. And I think that we will see that. I think we will see quick deals done by Manchester United. I'm expecting a couple in by the end of June, a couple in by the middle of July, maybe more. But that's the sort of time scale that will be acceptable to Erik ten Hag. Remember, we go on tour the day after the Edinburgh game, which I think is the 18th of July. So you've got till the 18th of July to get these players in. But there's a lot of players to get in. So you've got to... Yeah, there could be players to get out as well. I mean, we talk about when the first signing's going to be. When's the first player going to leave? That's a very good point. There's a lot to get done. A lot to get done. And we will be covering it here for you on the United Stand. Don't forget to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. If you have subscribed, make sure you click the bell and tick to get all your notifications. We were live at 11 o'clock last week. We could be live at any time, but we are live at 8 o'clock. We are live at 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock. But we'll be live at all sorts of times. And I think this is going to be a really busy summer. So make sure you're watching it on the United Stand, getting involved with the biggest and best community around Manchester United. You are all legends. Thanks everybody for watching. We have got Fabrizio Romano on the show tomorrow. I think I've got a show with Ben Foster as well. So there's a few good stuff coming up for you tomorrow. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Don't forget, Tuesday night, Dublin, United Stand, end of season show. I've got some brilliant visual jokes for you. You're going to love it. If you want to be there, there are still a few tickets left. Get yourself down. Dublin on Tuesday night. Links in the video description and it's in the live chat. Got some beautiful things to give away. Like this. This is a collector's item. There's only bloody one. It's the only one. Who's going to get their hands on that? Don't worry, I won't devalue it by signing it unless somebody really wants that. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. I'll speak to you all in a bit.